How would you like to wake up one morning and find out that your new business partner is your business partner's ex wife? Even worse, how would you like to find out that your business partner unfortunately just recently passed away? And as a result, you have to liquidate the business that you've worked so hard to build over the last 15 to 20 years because you don't have enough cash to buy out his portion of the company. Well, this is exactly what can happen if you don't have a proper buy sell agreement in place. I talk to a lot of business owners that have started their business, and because they've got caught up in the day to day and they've built this business spending 50, 60, 70 hours a week, they forget the very basics of putting this instrument in place that will protect the business, protect your family, and then also protect yourself. So here's how a buy sell agreement works and why it's extremely important that you have one in place for your company. So the way a buy-sell agreement works is that it gives you the opportunity to structure how you may be able to acquire or purchase or buy out your business partner or business partners if you have multiple. There are the 3Ds, which are death, disability, and divorce, that usually come into play when it comes to a buy-sell agreement. And when we look at each of these areas individually, there's a purpose and a structure for each one and why you may want to structure them a little bit differently, but for purposes of this, we're going to make it very simple. We're going to kind of lump all those three into one area. So let's start with the divorce issue. So the example I just gave you, this could be a scenario where if you don't have a buy-sell agreement in place, and unfortunately your business partner goes through a divorce, he may not have, and you may not have, the proper liquidity to buy her out. So in this case, because that is the case, you now have a third business partner, which may not be the greatest of situations because there's most likely some tension between two of your business partners. In addition to that, there may be differences of opinion in how the business is run. You and your business partner most likely will want to continue to reinvest in the business to grow the business over time, whereas his ex-wife may want income from the business and want to start to distribute that proper profit, which hamstrings you to be able to continue to grow the business. The other example that I gave you is an estate tax and really a family issue. So we'll use the example again. Your business partner unfortunately passes away. And we're going to use the example of $10 million. We'll make this super simple. So in order for you to buy out his portion of the business, you need to come up with that $5 million. Now let's just say that his family is relying on that $5 million because the majority of his net worth was tied to the business. If you do not have a proper buy-sell agreement funded, in this case, you are going to have to come up with the $5 million to pay them or potentially have to liquidate the business. This becomes even more complex and time sensitive if the business value is above the estate tax exemption. So let's use a number of $50 million. In that case, there's a good chance that your business partner may be above the estate tax exemption and owe estate tax on their estate once they pass. Now, those taxes are due within 9 months. There's not a lot of ways that you can come up with that liquidity in 9 months if it's not already available for your business owner. You know, if they had cash sitting around, other liquid investments, that may be a solution, but that's a big risk that you're taking. So here's what you need to do. You need to take a look to see if you have a buy-sell agreement in place. And if you don't, put that in place immediately. Within that buy-sell agreement, you're going to want to have a couple of components in there. First and foremost, you want to have the terms as it relates to being able to buy out your business partner should one of those three scenarios happen. There's what's called a first right of refusal, which gives you the option to buy out your business partner shares before any unrelated partner has the ability to do so. So again, pulling it back to the example, should that happen, if you had the proper buy-sell agreement in place and your business owner wasn't able to come up with enough liquidity to buy out his ex-wife, before she can become part of the business, you have the first right of refusal to buy her out. So that's just an example of that. The second component of the buy-sell agreement that you want to make sure is you want to come to an agreement on how the company is valued. Now, there's three different ways that you can determine how the business is valued, three more common ways. The first one is a flat dollar amount. So you can agree, that this is the dollar amount that we want to set for the business in terms of the value. And it's something that you can reset every year, every 2 years. But essentially, you're just having a conversation with a business partner saying, hey, if we both agree that we want to buy one another out, this is the value of the company that we're going to set. Simplest way to do it, I would argue, is probably only going to be appropriate for the smaller businesses. As you get to a larger valuation of your company, you're going to want to have more of a buttoned up way to value the company. The second approach is a formula approach. And very simply put, in most cases, you're going to take a look at the profitability of your company and you're going to use what's called a multiplier. And so for those of you that aren't familiar with the multiplier, it's essentially a very, very common formula to determine the value of your company if you're looking to sell to a third party, a strategic buyer. And what you're doing is you're taking the profit of the company, you're multiplying it by whatever factor you agree to, and that's how you determine the value of the company. Once again, it's pretty simplistic, but as you continue to grow your company, to get a true, accurate value of the business, you're going to want to look at other factors outside of just financials. So that third way to do it is more of a market-based approach. And what you're doing here is you are getting a valuation of your company in terms of the current market environment. So in that situation, it could be a positive, it could be a negative. If you're currently in a tough market where the business is struggling, not only from a financial standpoint, but maybe you're in an industry that is projected to have continued issues down the line, that may compress the value of the company. On the flip side, if you are in a situation where your profit is expected to continuously go up at a very rapid pace, it's going to increase the current value of your company. So in that situation, you're looking not only at the financial multiplier, but you're also looking at the market in terms of what it would take to sell your business on the open market. Now, in order to do this effectively, it does cost a little bit of additional money because you are doing more of a formal business valuation on a regular basis. But it's the fairest way for you to be able to do that with your business partner as your company continues to grow. At Harvest Wealth Strategies, as part of our services that we offer what's called a business insights report on a regular basis. And that's a formal valuation that we give to you on your company that, again, is based off your financials, but it's also inclusive of your intangible assets, which is everything outside of your financials. And what it's going to look at is where your company stands today compared to best in class. And this is why that's important, because your financials may be similar to another company's, but if you have stronger intangible assets, such as stronger processes, employees, you have a more diverse client base, a better brand, that's going to lift the value of your company. And so it's going to give you a more accurate picture of what that's going to look like. So those are the three components that you want to have in place. And then you also want to make sure that it's funded. So I would say this is the most critical component of the buy-sell agreement. It's not enough just to have it on paper and have it well structured. You need to make sure that you can fund it. So again, I'll use the two examples that I mentioned before. So in both cases, you are going to need liquidity to buy out either the ex-wife or to pay estate taxes or to pay out the family of your deceased business partner. There's a couple different ways you can do this. The more common way is to purchase life insurance. It's a very easy way to allow yourself to come up with liquidity in a very short period of time. I've seen other buy-sell agreements where it allows you to pay the business partner through the cash flow of the business. Now, this is usually not the most desirable way because it puts pressure on the business in terms of cash flow, and then also for the business partner that's being bought out, it delays the amount of time that it takes for them to get their money. So in most cases, I highly recommend looking at a life insurance policy to be able to fund your buy-sell agreement. So using the example again, if you have a situation where your business partner passes away and you have a life insurance policy on your business partner, using that same example, let's say it's the $5 million, you're able to get that $5 million, pay off whatever estate taxes there are as well as the family, and allow you to continue to run your business operations as is. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of life insurance policies that you can have in place that will allow you to do this effectively. The very first one is fairly straightforward and simple. It's going to be your normal standard flat life insurance policy that you can buy on each other. So you would buy one on your business partner where you would be the owner of the policy, the beneficiary of the policy, and your business owner would be the individual whose life is based on the policy, and then vice versa. It's pretty simple, straightforward, very common if it's just two partners. When you get into more of the multiple partner situations, you can follow the same structure where you can purchase individual policies on one another. That's what's called a cross purchase life insurance plan. So in that scenario, if you have, let's say, three partners, partner A buys a life insurance policy on partners B and C, and then it goes all the way around. So in essence, you'll end up with 6 different insurance policies. A couple of the more advanced ones, you can do life insurance where the company owns the policies on the different business partners. And there's a couple other different ways, if it's a C Corp or S Corp, that you can structure it. But for the most part, the more common ones are the straight life insurance policies or the cross purchase plans. So wrapping things up, buy-sell agreements, something that you need to make sure that you have in place, carries a few different components to it. The 3 primary components are what the structure is going to look like in terms of who has first right of refusal, how the value of the business is determined, and then also how it's going to be funded. Those are the 3 primary components that you want to make sure are in place within that buy-sell agreement. You want to make sure that you take a look at this on a regular basis. I would say at least a year to 2 years. Every 2 years, you want to take a look at this, evaluate the situation, determine if you need to make adjustments. So if you have any questions or you want to reach out to kind of see how this might be applicable for your business and the best options, even for just a review of the buy-sell agreement, we're more than happy to do that. As I mentioned, this is all included as part of our services for the clients that we work with. But you can reach out to us. We provide a free 30-minute strategy session. We also have what's called the Freedom Roadmap, which does include a very informal valuation of the company, just to kind of give you an idea of where you may fall. But reach out if you have any questions. You can click on the link in this video, take you straight to our calendar to book an invite. Also subscribe to the channel if you feel like this content was valuable to you. We try to produce as much content as we can, specifically around business succession planning, as business owners are looking to exit their business, but we also cover topics like this, even for business owners that are not at that point yet, but need to understand some of these critical risk management tactics to take in order to build that foundation for your company.